Politicians are very good at playing with words. They always talk about gun control. How about right control? Because when you go against the Second Amendment, that's our right. That's our God-given right, not only by God, but by the founding fathers. So why don't you just call it what it really is, right control? You're taking our rights away. You cannot regulate evil. Evil is evil, and evil is always going to be persistent, and it's always going to be here. So why get rid of our ability to protect ourselves? The Second Amendment right protects the rest of them, and it protects us. It protects your home, your body, and your spirit, because without it, how are you going to protect yourself? Don't be a sheep. Don't follow just because it's popular. Think for yourself. Be yourself. Be that individual that God made you to be. He wasn't born to follow. He was born to lead. Welcome back to The Real News with Lucretia Hughes and Dave. Do not forget, April the 12th, we'll have our 14th rally right here. It is Faith Over Fear, celebration of veterans and first responders. It starts at 12. Like I said, y'all make sure that you really don't have to sign up. It's right here at the house. Just come, show up, have a great time. We have speakers, we have performers coming. Matt is coming to sing. We're going to make America great again. We got Antonio Jones. We have Joe Vasanti. We have former NFL turned pastor Davison is coming all the way from Arizona. So we are, and more people asking to speak. So like I said, please get over there. Y'all can donate, Cash App, PayPal. It goes not only to everything we're doing, but also to us. And then get over there to Fallback USA. So our next guest, y'all, because I have y'all noticed that's kind of pattern that God has given me, and that's the connection or networking with people that need to know other people. Now, when it comes to veterans, we know that we've been trying to do a lot of tiny home communities, a lot of self-sufficient communities, a lot of agriculture and farming when it comes to helping the veterans to be self-sufficient. So her name is Sunny Welch. Her organization, it took me like 3 tries to figure out what they was trying to say, because I was like ACES, but it is literally Joint Forces Farm, and the way they spell it is 4A or ORSC. You know, today bring Sunny on up in here. Hey, Sunny, how you doing?
Hi there, how's it going?
Pretty good. I don't want to tell your organization up, but where you get the 4 from?
Well, it might not come as a surprise to you, but the United States government owns a lot of names. And so jointforces.org was taken if I spelled it out FORCES. So we use the number 4, CES, so forces, joint forces.
I was like, oh, and the whole, you have everything you need to get grants, to get people to donate to you. Now give them the aspects of what you're doing with the Joint Forces Farm and the active duty to agriculture, and how you're trying to bring self-awareness not only to veterans, self-sufficiency, and give them a whole new way of life. Can you tell them everybody about your organization?
Yeah, I'd love to. So we're called Joint Forces, and our program is designed to help people who are retiring or leaving active duty military careers find meaningful next missions in agriculture. Right now, we are really great at turning citizens into service members. There is a very well thought out and structured pathway from civilian to service member. But on the back end, we're not seeing that same type of effort and funding and pathway created for those folks who are getting ready to start their next missions after service. So what we're proposing is that we create a 1-year live-work transition system where folks who want to work on farms or work in agriculture-related industries would come and live and work with us for about a year, getting hands-on training around all of the things that happen on a farm, and then 1 day a week of personal development services. And then at the end of that pathway, we would then pair them up with a retiring farmer or another employment opportunity that would fit their skill set, really creating a more holistic and supported transition system. And by doing all this, we'll be addressing those upstream risk factors for suicide and addiction that we're seeing plaguing the veteran community. There's an enormous opportunity in agriculture. There's a bunch of farmers that are getting ready to retire. An entire generation of farmers is getting ready to transition their lands into somebody's hands. And my team and I are working to make sure veterans are at the forefront of that changing of the guard.
Where do you find the veterans and where do you find the farmers? And where are you actually located or where you that's about five, six. I have to write stuff down as you're talking. So the first one
That's okay. I got you. So I've recently joined the board of the Farmer Veteran Coalition in California, which is where our nonprofit is located, or it's where it was founded in Redding, California. We've been doing work in Sonoma County. There are a lot of different agencies there, like the Sonoma County Veterans Alliance, the local farm bureaus, and then farmers themselves are a part of these larger agricultural organizations. So the Farmer Veteran Coalition has about 50,000 members across the United States, both veterans and farmers, people who want to advocate for and support working with veterans at all opportunities. And I'm also up here in Washington state now helping to transition a horse boarding property into food production with the goal of feeding the local schools here and then also starting to move our produce onto the bases.
okay.
I am not I'm not sure if you know, but I hear a lot of comments about how the food could be improved on bases and especially in MREs. So my team and I are working to create as many veteran-owned farms that would then be able to feed schools and bases. The future of our nation and the security of our nation really deserves the best that we can offer them, not what we can get by with.
So with the horse farm that's in Washington, because you have a place in California, Redding, California, that's already up and going, and then you have a horse farm that's in Washington. Do you feel like you're going to cross share the produce and different things so you have two locations, or then are you going to expand it to like Wyoming or stay out there in the breadbasket over to the west side?
Yeah, so the goal is to see these campuses, these training programs happen in every state to make sure that veterans who are transitioning out of active duty can find their home and their future in any area that really speaks to them. We know that people around the country are looking for more alternatives to commercially or historically commercially grown produce. We're seeing a lot of some information coming out about the chemical byproducts that are involved in a lot of food systems right now. We're seeing a lot of opportunity for this changing of the guard. So right now we're starting where we have, which was in California. And just recently in the past couple of weeks, I've come up here to Washington. And we're also talking with folks in Oklahoma, looking for as many allies across the country as possible. You know, it doesn't have to take a long time for us to start transitioning our food systems and looking to more locally and regionally based programs that are advocating for bionutrient dense food, organically grown food, and locally produced food, specifically aligning with other veteran organizations that want to make sure that veterans are at the forefront of all of this economic opportunity. There's a lot of volatility in our markets these days, but one thing is certain, and that is people have to eat.
Well, when you're saying that, because what I'm thinking is because we are losing our farmers, that is a big. But you have a lot of the, we don't say it, Bill Gates, one of the largest privately owned farmlands. When you're looking at that, do the federal government actually give you federal land that you might can use to utilize this and the grants at the same time?
So we're hopeful that a lot of those lands and a lot of those maybe federally held or even state held lands that aren't necessarily being used right now, like there are a bunch of bases that have been decommissioned. There's a lot of property out there, and we are excited about the opportunity to start working more fluidly with the incoming administration. You know, a lot of conversation was had on the campaign trail about therapeutic farms and about, you know, overhauling the food systems and really getting into soil science and providing healthy food for our nation and our future. And so I'm optimistic about the future of what will come with the incoming administration and their focus not only on, you know, treating our men and women in the service really well, but also about how we can start making sure that America becomes a healthy country again. And by using what lands and grants are available to us to put veterans at the forefront of all of this.
Now,
you know, as an American citizen, it really bothers me that it's a two-way service contract people sign when they enter the military service, and we expect our people in uniform to die if that's what duty demands. But when they come home, we're woefully out of integrity to living up to our life, or our promise of a better life through service to country. And I think that we can really do some things differently, specifically starting in agriculture.
Well, also with our Robert F. Kennedy on board and now Doug Collins being the VA secretary, how hard would it be to go in there and actually proposition or petition the VA to bring some of that money or some of the budget to start helping these type of different agricultural programs that is actually designed exactly for the vets, and that's a great way of keeping up with the vets once they transition out of active duty.
Yeah, so we're working diligently on getting the attention of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. specifically. There are a number of people who have heard about joint forces, and the proposal I worked on over the past couple of years, even bringing in a pilot program to prove that, by offering this type of activity and this type of community networking to folks, we've reduced upstream risk factors for suicide and improved overall well-being of the veterans that have worked with us thus far. And so having our proposal up on the website and doing some outreach with folks like you and the National Victory Garden Alliance, there are a number of people working to bring our project and our proposal to the awareness of Secretary Kennedy. And I welcome the opportunity to have these deeper discussions because our veteran community is one of our nation's prides. At least it should be. And I just really think that we are at this beautiful flexion point where we can start being a country that lives up to our promises, to our citizens, and to the countries around the world that we engage with. And I believe that it would be best for all of us if we start with the veteran community ourselves. There's a big opportunity in agriculture. We're going to see 128,000 skilled worker positions coming up in the next 4 years, and 40% of our ag lands transitioning hands as a generation of farmers retire. And it makes sense to me that we create a pathway to the American dream through service to country and really start living up to our promises and actually becoming a grateful nation.
What is some of the stipulations for the veterans to actually get into the program?
Right. So the majority of what we are looking for is a willingness to be a healthy person. So alcohol never made a farm safer. So these campuses that we operate are going to be drug and alcohol free. Not saying that you can't go enjoy yourself on your weekends or on your day off, but on our farms, safety is going to be a primary concern. And also mental health and personal development is something that's baked into our program. So the folks that are going to be successful that want to come work with us are those that are interested in doing their personal work, that recognize that their long-term success is going to be based upon their willingness to live a healthy lifestyle, to work collaboratively with other people, and to really embrace being outdoors. Not every farm operation is going to look the same, but there are some pretty consistent factors. There's a lot of teamwork involved. There's a lot of nature engagement. And so it's going to be best designed for those folks who find themselves most at home in these more rural environments, and that also understand that working together as a team is essential to really get big jobs done. But having been a military member, I imagine that that's not lost on many people. You can say what you want about the military and how it's impacted our world, but one thing the military is great at is coming together to get a job done.
What about once, every with the crops, are you taking them to farmers market, or are they going to be able to order the produce or whatever you're growing so the money can go back into the actual farm itself so it can continue to feed itself?
Yeah, so the way that I've designed the economics behind these farms is, military bases buy a lot of food from a lot of people. They buy it regularly and consistently. And so it makes a lot of sense to me to see those purchase contracts falling into the hands of these veteran-owned farms and veteran campuses. So that's just one aspect of what we're hoping to achieve, is to see the military starting to be fed by veterans, their brothers and sisters in arms. Nobody's going to take better care of them than they would. And then additionally, yes, creating these local markets. A lot of folks that I know would love to purchase and would love to support veteran-owned businesses and veteran brands, whether it be honey or preserves or fruit and vegetable baskets. There's no end to the amount of economic opportunity that can be, developed on these farms. Local schools are going to need to start sourcing differently as we're seeing some shakeups happening in the way that our school systems are being fed. We also have a prison system that feeds people. there are a lot of these larger opportunities for bulk buying. It's just right now we're not prioritizing working with our veteran community, and we're not prioritizing placing veterans in these land ownership and entrepreneurship opportunities that exist in agriculture. And so my team and I are working really diligently to change that.
Now, when you go out there and you're talking to the elderly farmers or elderly veteran farmers, is it like a grant? They leave it in the will. You do your organization buy the property from them and let them live there. How does that work?
Yeah, the succession planning is something that's really exciting for us. Right now, there are a bunch of people that have had these generational farms, and their sons or daughters aren't really interested in taking them over. The cool thing is there are a lot of other organizations like states and local farm ags that really prioritize succession planning. I was just at a meeting in Oregon the other day with Rogue Farm Corps, and they had an entire workshop where they were pairing landowners with land seekers and
Mm.
creating this pathway for succession. So, as far as the finances go behind that, creating a trust, working with organizations that are already doing that, like California Farm Link and Washington State Farm Link, and these other veteran focused organizations that are really interested in prioritizing, financing veteran entrepreneurship. There are a lot of different ways that it can happen. But the most important thing is highlighting who out there has a farm and getting our veterans through the program so they're ready to be paired up with them.
How big of an acreage do you need for a base or an actual place that you think that can be successful?
Yeah, so the way that we've designed our campuses, and I workshopped it in that proposal that's on our website, is 50 acres. So each campus would serve 6 to 8 veterans per year. They would live on site in their own spaces, but
Mm.
as a team. And then there'd be 2 to 3 staff members on site as well. There would be the veteran farmer who would be guiding all of the on the job training, the program director that would be managing their VA disability claim support, peer networking support, mental health support, physical health support, wherever that is, doing that 1 day a week of personal development. And then there may be an additional admin. And so, in order to keep 6 to 8 people working full time on a farm for a year as the seasons change, we'll be doing everything from infrastructure development, seed planting, harvesting, sales. We think that 50 acres is enough. Now, could we use more? Absolutely. But each and every one of these campuses is going to be slightly unique. But the way I've designed it and the way that's written in the proposal is a 50-acre farm.
I like that. How many houses are? Is it just going to be one unit, or is it going to be different tiny, like single wise, tiny homes? How is that kind of going to be set up?
Yeah, so like I said, each one is going to be unique, but the way I envision it is everyone at least having their own bedroom and their own bathroom, whether that's a bunkhouse with everybody kind of having their own bedroom and bathroom and a large center facility, whether that's, tiny homes or maybe a couple of different structures. Those types of things are able to be, configured in however the site needs to exist. But there would definitely be room for recreation, privacy, and keeping in mind that we want this to be a good experience for our veterans, for our participants. So though it might not be, the Ritz, we at least want people to have their own privacy and comfort while still prioritizing community connection. Like I said, this program is designed to address upstream risk factors for suicide and addiction. And one of those is isolation. So we want everybody to have their own space, but we also want to connect around meals, recreation, and community gatherings.
Now, with you having two locations, you got your first one now. You're looking at the one in Washington. How far out? What's your goals for the next 5 years?
So right now we're working on transitioning this horse property into food production. This will be the first property in Washington under the guidance of Joint Forces, which is huge. And in the next 5 years, we look to have 2 campuses. And then we'd also be creating these additional upstream opportunities for the folks that come through us. So growing our network of farmers, creating a pipeline of veterans coming out of the service through our program, prepared to achieve their personal missions on the other side, and getting a joint forces presence from coast to coast. There's ag land in every state. There are opportunities galore for veterans that want to come work with us. But in the next 5 years, it would be nice to have at least 2 campuses serving 6 to 8 veterans, and then creating a 70 to 80% placement rate for our graduates. Now, not everybody's going to be perfect all the time, but our program is designed to set people up with opportunities inside of farming if they want to own their own farm, or employment positions through our broader network of industry allies if they're looking maybe not to run something but want to lead in a different capacity. And then, of course, if maybe they want some more fine-tuned training, like maybe they get really into greenhouse engineering and design, we would then pair them with their secondary education situation. So the plan goes from active duty onto the campus, and then from the campus into their next mission, whatever that might be. And then, of course, the program director, either myself or someone else, would be there with them every step of the way, really making sure they have all the support they need to be successful on the other end.
I gotta ask you, what made you
Yeah.
feel this gap? What really made you? You could be doing anything in the world, and you could take up any cause, but what really? Because you have put some plan, some thoughts, probably cried, pulled your hair out, got tired of begging, so you just said, "I'm gonna do it." What really made you fill in this gap where you saw that was necessary?
Yeah, so all of this is really rooted in recognizing that we are out of integrity as a country when it comes to living up to our end of the bargain that's made on behalf of all of us with people who serve in the military. I have been a part and have been aware of the struggles that people have when they leave the military, either for medical reasons or at the end of their contract. And I've seen how difficult it can be for some people, and I've seen some people not make it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not lost on me how, like I said, how well we position folks to become service members. We invest heavily in preparing someone to be successful in their military role. And it makes a lot of sense. Why? Because it's often the case of life or death, either for them or the people they're serving next to. But it's also a case of life and death on the other end. You know, we are seeing an epidemic of veteran suicides and addiction, and it affects every community. It affects everybody. It's just we're not really talking about it. And I got tired of waiting for somebody else to come up with a system that was going to really address the root causes of it rather than just trying to pull people out of the darkness. I'm a crisis counselor. I spend hours on the National Suicide Hotline walking people through some really dark places. And rather than just putting our energy into putting these band-aids on broken arms, let's invest in setting people up for success in the way that you'll see in that proposal I have on our website. Right now, it costs us about $6 billion a year not to solve the problem of veteran suicide and addiction. And wouldn't it be great to be using those dollars in another way that actually leads to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and really lifts our veterans up and allows them to become the American heroes that I think that we all really need right now? There aren't a ton of role models out there that are really attainable. You know, right now kids are looking to celebrity culture and want to become hip hop stars and movie stars and rappers and rock stars. And all of that is wonderful if you're uniquely talented in those specific ways. But when it comes to being an attainable role model, I can't think of anybody I'd rather see representing that than an entrepreneur, somebody who served their country and was able to really carve their own piece of the American dream with support, but on their own and like on their own 2 feet. So what's at the root of all this? I'm tired of seeing my friends living in pain and thinking about killing themselves. I'm tired of seeing kids not having real role models that come from their own neighborhoods that they can look up to and that they can aspire to become. And I'm tired of living in a country that promises a better life through service and doesn't live up to that our end of the bargain. So I decided to do something about it. And the work that we're putting out there is already turning results. And the more resources we have available to us, the better we'll be able to do it.
I couldn't say that you signed a contract. You could have been a martyr at any given time of your life, and you have dreams and aspirations. And if they promised you that if you laid your lives down for us, then this is yours, and you signed the contract, you should be able to get it. Now, when it comes to the benefits, because they're going to be coming from active duty, and let's say that there's a lot of, because we know there's an epidemic of homelessness, especially
Yeah.
in the veteran world. Do you feel like once you get that and you get the first up, finish rolling, you got the 50 acres, you got the bunkhouse, maybe you could build another bunkhouse because it's working so well and branch off that 50 acres and bring like 12 people in? Do you feel once you have them there at your property, taking care of everything, their needs, all the good things, are you going to set them up financially, teach them financial awareness also? So once they finish that year, not only have they saved the money that they've been getting through the benefits, but that also, if anything that they sell or at a farmer's market or part of a contract to a base, is that going to be put in a kitty? So once they leave, being your safe place, you'll be able to help them transition to their own home, to their own
Yeah, that's
farms,
I'm
different things
so
like
glad you
that.
brought that up. That's exactly what we're intending to do here. So while they're working with us and living with us for that year, we're going to be paying them for their work. It's important to me that we appreciate and compensate people for their efforts. So we're going to pay them for the work that they do and get them prepared as well as we possibly can for their next step, which that includes entrepreneurship classes, financial literacy classes, personal development opportunities to really create this holistic formula that's uniquely tailored to them, their skills, their desires, and then really work with them on ensuring that their next step is a step forward, not a step out. And so we'll be having this network of entrepreneurs, mentors, thought leaders, educational opportunities, and really making sure that once they leave our farm, they're either going to a job or to a farm or to an education opportunity. Nobody's going to leave Joint Forces without their next step being clear, and they're going to be paid for the work that they're doing while they're with us. And I'm glad that you brought up the VA disability claim. A lot of people don't understand that that type of claim can take up to 2 years. And so we're partnering with VSO organizations to make sure that the folks that come to us start getting that advice and that advisory support from day one. So no paperwork is lost, no time is lost, and they're not expected to figure it out on their own. Our job is to create an opportunity and an educational environment where the folks who come with us get personal and professional training that ensures their future is one of their own design, not something that they feel like they have to settle for or that they have to, take any shortcuts because they're not really sure of what their future would look like. Like we're talking about holistic transition support, just like you get going in. There's a recruiting office, then there's a training workup, then there's boot camp, then there's A school, then there's B school, and only then are you put into your job. We are reverse engineering that process that we're excellent at and making sure that as people leave the military, they're ready to be successful in their personal missions, not only for their own well-being, for that of everybody around them, their communities, the society. And that's really at the heart of what we're up to, is making sure that we take just as good care of people on the back end of service as we do getting ready for, to get their job in whatever branch they enroll in.
We have 2 minutes left. I'm going to let you close this out. Give us your website. Give us a synopsis. I hate calling it a synopsis because that's a mouthful. You know what? We're just gonna let you just end this segment, and thank you so much, Sonny, for coming on and get with Stan, because I feel like we need to be interconnecting you with some of these people that are kind of doing what you're doing, but also doing the homeless veterans, the all inclusive, tiny home communities, and I think
Yeah.
y'all can bounce ideas off each other to reach more veterans that's in I say in harm's way, because there's a whole bunch of them that has no idea where to go, what to do, who to talk to, and a lot of them just gave up, and I'm over it too. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna let you close this out for my voice give out. Go ahead.
So
Excuse me.
we're the Joint Forces Project. You can find us at www.joint, the number four, ces.org, jointforces.org. And we call it Joint Forces rather than duplication of efforts because we know there are a lot of people out there doing great work. There's just not enough collaboration and cooperation amongst the teams. So we're here and we're ready to do it.
Thank you so much, everybody. Y'all stay tuned. This is Sonny Welch. We'll be right back. Go ahead, Dave. Let me take this pill.
We are running a sale on our entire We the People line of products. Just use promo code TOLDYOUSO and get 15% off until the end of March. So order today.
Politicians are very good at playing with words. They always talk about gun control. How about right control? Because when you go against the Second Amendment, that's our right. That's our God-given right, not only by God, but by the founding fathers. So why don't you just call it what it really is, right control? You're taking our rights away. You cannot regulate evil. Evil is evil, and evil is always going to be persistent, and it's always going to be here. So why get rid of our ability to protect ourselves? The Second Amendment right protects the rest of them, and it protects us. It protects your home, your body, and your spirit, because without it, how are you going to protect yourself? Don't be a sheep. Don't follow